Tonight on the FailroadExpress, we are living in a materia world, and I am a materia girl. Okay, who wrote that? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Joshua Thomas, back to talk more about Final Fantasy VII, in this case, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and what kind of materia we might encounter in this new game. We've already seen some footage that shows some very new and unique materia. If we take a look here, we see that some materia that can be crafted as early as the grasslands are fire and ice materia, auto-cast materia, morph materia, and auto-unique ability materia. Now, when I first saw the fire and ice materia, I thought that maybe this was a sort of double element materia in that it casted fire and ice at the same time as one spell, but after reviewing some gameplay footage, it looks like it simply gives you fire magic and ice magic separately, so you can cast fire or you can cast ice. But it's still pretty neat and has a lot of implications to it, because what about blue materia? You know, we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to blue materia in this video. And so what happens when you equip elemental materia to the fire and ice materia? Does it give you fire and ice on your weapon's attack? That's going to be interesting, especially for those enemies who can perhaps absorb ice but are weak to fire. So what happens there? Then we've got auto-cast materia, and this this makes me think of the auto-cure materia, but it's blue. So it's a linked materia. So what's going to trigger the auto-cast? That's interesting to me. Is what triggers the auto-cast? Is it, when we cast one ability, it also casts this one? Perhaps, maybe if we cast just any other spell to begin with, maybe if we cast a cure spell, we could cast the fire and ice spell. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this works. Morph materia. Morph materia is in the OG game as well, so we know that that transforms an enemy or a creature into an item, and you can see there that it only has 1 star, so there's nowhere for it to go in terms of upgrading. And then auto unique ability materia. Now this one is a purple materia, so this is going to get triggered somehow as well, but not in the same way as the blue materia. So like with the auto cure materia, it just simply triggered when you weren't in control of the character and when your HP was low or a party member's HP was low. So auto unique ability materia, what's going to cause it to trigger? Those are some interesting things there to me. And then if we look at another freeze frame from a video, we see a long list of materia here that we've seen before. We also confirmed that assess is going to be a materia. We got HP up materia, first strike materia, and at the very bottom, precision defense focus materia. That's really interesting sounding. Precision defense focus materia. Does that mean that if you put up your guard right as an enemy is about to attack you, or right as they are about to land their attack, does that mean that that's a precision defense and somehow it gives you this focus? And what's the focus going to be for? Usually when in Remake, when we talked about focus, it was like a focus strike or a focus shot, and that allowed the ability to increase the stagger gauge faster. Focus strike, that kind of thing. Focus thrust. I don't know which one I said first, but that's really interesting to speculate on as to what it might be, and they may have already given that information out, and if so, I just haven't seen it yet. But then we also can look to the original Final Fantasy game to see what materia might make it into the game. And while most of the materia that are in the original game I can kind of see going into there, I'm looking at the player manual or the player strategy guide. The one green materia that I think would be interesting to show up would be contain materia. The contain materia holds the spells freeze, break, tornado, and flare. Those are all some crazy sounding abilities right there. We know break turns enemies to stone. Freeze is obviously going to freeze the enemy, but for how long we don't know. And then there's tornado and of course flare. Some of the, flare is regarded as a really powerful magical ability. Then there's also shield and master magic, but I don't know that we would see those in there. There are some juicier tidbits in here, like double cut. After seeing things like, auto ability and precision defense focus materia, I could imagine seeing this double cut. Did I say auto first? Double cut. This materia in the OG simply allowed you to, when you would use an attack command, you would attack twice. So an attacks an opponent 2 times in a strike. And then as it upgraded, it became 4x cut. So you attack once and your character, or you use the attack command once and your character attacks 4 times. Now, since we have an action-based attacking system now to where you can just spam attacks, they aren't the strongest, but they fill your ATB gauge, and you just have full control over it now. I do wonder if this could become like a blue materia, or perhaps it would be a command materia of some sort, and it allows you to use an ability twice. Perhaps an ability for your equipped weapon. Say, if you had the Iron Blade from Remake, let's say that you have the triple cut ability or the triple strike ability, whichever it's called. I'm probably butchering the name. But what if you're able to use that twice for 1 ATB charge? I think that would be pretty interesting there. And then let's get to, that image you saw in the thumbnail. Obviously, I doctored that from a freeze frame from that same video. But what if, what if there are 3 linked slots, like 3 attached slots to each other on some items that you could get in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? They haven't fully explored everything that there was in the original game yet. There were certain items or certain weapons and armor that had regular materia growth, that had double materia growth, and that had no materia growth. So what if this is going to be one of those unique items where it's like, hey, look, this has a triple link. And in the original game, there's something called X Magic. It is a command yellow materia, and it says cast 2 magic spells in 1 round. What if you could link 2 green materia to this X Magic, and it would be a blue materia in this one? It would be like, double cast or something like that. So that, let's say, we'll just use a simple instance here. What if you could cast Fire and Ice at the same time? Or what if you could cast Haste and Cure at the same time by having the X Magic or linked to both of those materia? Likewise, in this triple linked materia slot, what if you could have 2 blue materia linked to a single green materia, or whatever other kind of materia the blue materias could properly link to? In Remake, we saw people linking two blue materias to a single attack. However, they had to use two linked slots and use the exact same materia in each of those linked slots. So, for instance, maybe they wanted to cast fire and they wanted to link it to HP absorb, but they also wanted to link it to magnify, so they had to have fire and HP absorb in one linked pair and fire and magnify in the other linked pair. So what if in that triple slot you could have fire, magnify, and HP absorb? And that's just one example. The possibilities are just so endless, and it would be amazing to see what you could do with that. But I could also see them not doing that, because that could potentially give the player, some OP combination that the devs just didn't even consider. You know how it is when, the devs are trying to, playtest the game. They can only playtest it so many times, and then you release it into the world where thousands and thousands of people are playing it. Somebody's going to figure out some amazing combination that just wrecks the enemy. But now we also have Steel as Well materia from the OG, and this is a blue materia. So imagine being able to use a command ability such as enemy skill, and you also steal as well. It's so interesting to think about the possibilities that remake, or rebirth I should say, are going to bring. And just from seeing, once again, all the materia that can be crafted just in the grasslands alone, and 3 of those materia being materia that has never been used in any other Final Fantasy game, this looks like it's going to be fun. Now, if you want to talk about Ever Crisis, I don't think so far what we've seen, I don't think any of that materia is going to make it over, like the poison Isuna materia, where it's like it cures poison and then heals you as well. I don't think that that's going to make it over, because in Ever Crisis you're limited to just 5 abilities. So, and only three of those can be materia, and you don't have that limitation in Rebirth, so I don't see that happening. But, and then, Crisis Core's materia is a whole another beast there as well. I don't know that we'll see too much of that make it over as well, since Crisis Core was more of an action-oriented game with only one character. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think that we could possibly see a triple link. Let me know if you think we're going to see the 0 growth and double growth and maybe some other kind of item that manipulates materia in some different way. And let me know what you would like to see. Let me know if you've imagined any kind of materia that you hope will also be in the game. That's all for this video. Check out this other one that talks about how Sephiroth is still the bad guy in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. He's not getting a redemption arc. And I hope you all like and subscribe and check out more on the FailroadExpress. Thank you guys. Check you next time.